now.
Okay, let me share the screen.
Thanks for your invitation and thanks for your welcoming.
Do you see it?
Yeah, working for me.
Okay. So, hello everybody, and thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you for being here. We really enjoy your seminar series and also your past seminars. So we are all the more really happy to be here to be able to discuss with you our research project. So you already know the title of the presentation, and we will be presenting something that is really a work in progress, since basically the book we are editing and on which the presentation is based has not been published yet. I'll give you more information about the book later, but let's go. I mean, I'll just, I want to first, not moving the presentation. Okay, do you see it's moving? Yeah.
Yeah, it's moving.
Okay, great.
It's alive.
So, okay, let me anticipate what are we going to talking about today and our main thesis. Obviously, we are within the attention economy debate, and in particular, our interest is about the harmful consequences of attention economy and digital technology spread. However, while we do agree that attentional issues are indeed of the core of our current social individual crisis in our Western and capitalist societies, we also think that focusing on attention alone and focusing on a particular understanding of it can be very misleading. So this is why we propose a first reconsideration of the attention economy, and here we will address some of the limits of the attention economy narrative. But this is, let's say, a first step back from the hegemonic narrative. We will also try to propose a step forward, and we propose to reframe the problems normally addressed under the label of attention crisis, quote unquote, within a wider triangulation involving, yes, attention, but also distraction and curiosity. Yves will discuss that, but let me anticipate only one thing, that basically, obviously, we do not think that distraction and curiosity are some sort of magic ingredients to add to the attention formula in order to solve the crisis. We are interested in the relation between these three tips of the triangle, and also limit and merit of all the three elements. This is why I will discuss the political ambivalence of curiosity, and Yves again will conclude talking about curiosity within the attention economy. And basically here he will talk also about the politics and the ethics of curiosity. So we are going to do some back and forth between me and Yves, hopefully as smoothly as possible. Forgive us if we do not succeed. So what do we mean by a reconsideration of the attention economy? As I said, this is some sort of a step back from the attention economy narratives. And in order to do so, we draw on the attention critical studies, to use Ken Rogers' expression, which is an interdisciplinary field of study that has emerged more or less over the last 20 years, and that has questioned the attention economy narratives, putting them in a deeper historical and also theoretical perspective. By the way, most of the authors who contribute to the book we are editing are also contributed to this debate. In any case, in general, I think that the overall attention critical studies have helped to reveal some of the limits and assumption of attention economy debate, and in particular also about the perspective concerned about the harmful consequences. And one of these limited for sure is a specific understanding of attention, considered something we lost, and that is inherently good. And they also, I mean, I question this, what we call the task orientation. So that the problem of this lost ability is all about performances, basically. We obviously do not agree with that. And so we propose our conceptual reframing, which has also, I mean, a lot of practical consequences, because sometimes attentional issues, as you know, are addressed as pathological issues and treated as such. And all these led also to blaming distracted people and distraction in itself. This is why we propose, as a first step forward, to reconsidering, the idea of reconsidering the emancipating virtue of distraction. That is basically suspending the traditional opposition between attention and distraction. Some scholar, we put some names there, but obviously if you're interested, write to us, we will send you the references. Some scholars, rather than assuming this binary opposition, proposed to interpret distraction not as the mere absence of attention or a pathological form of attention, neither as something that does not allow us to be in control of ourselves and so on, but they propose to interpret distraction as a certain form of attention or as an autonomous faculty or an orientation toward an object these objects are actually very often something that is not aligned with the injunctions of a certain form of authority. So here the idea is to basically, rather than assuming this opposition, this relation between attention and distraction as authority as taken for granted, to question it. The second step, as you might expect, is bringing curiosity to the picture. Basically. So in recent year, there has been what, at least to us, is an increase of the interest in the curiosity studies. We can even say the rise of curiosity studies since 2016, even if, of course, there are earlier examples. I will just mention Blumen's work for one of the greatest examples. Why it is interested to us? At least for three reasons. They recall the way attention critical studies and also curiosity studies have developed. The first reason is methodological, as both are interdisciplinary studies, but one reason is also thematic, since from advertisement industry and also, if you want other perspective, a great way to get attention is stimulate curiosity. But also, I think more important, there is also an historical reason, since both curiosity studies and attention critical studies developed in parallel with a social trend aimed at quantitatively defining them, measuring them, and ultimately harness them. So what is at stake for here? What's the relevance for the present, at least from our point of view? Our idea is that we need to reevaluate curiosity and attention from a psychological individual bug to an infrastructural collective ecological feature, and this is why we propose the idea of mental infrastructures. The question here is not what we lost, basically, for instance, the ability to be focused, but the problem are the background infrastructural conditions that influence and shape our cognitive processes and obviously our practices. So basically, we are more interested in attention and curiosity formation processes rather than attention, distraction, or curiosity as individual personality traits. Obviously, just quick things. We are not suggesting to just move the causal link from the individual to the sociological or social level. It is far more complex than this. There are multiple feedbacks that, if you want, you can assign them to different interrelated levels. So this is the idea. This is the also the basic idea of our book. I'll not read all the author's name and chapter's title. Just say that we try to keep the interdisciplinary nature of the inspiration of the attention critical studies, and also we try to provide a multicultural approach, since we involve people from I think 9-10 countries, something like this. The part into which the book is divided reflect the three vertices of the triangle I mentioned. So the first is devoted to the critical view of attention, the second to digital mental infrastructure. So because obviously the triangle, it relates to digital technology. And the second one focuses on distraction, is titled Prices of Distraction. And the last one is about curiosity, is titled Promises of Curiosity. So why do we think that with respect to hegemonic narratives, attention needs to be criticized, distraction praised, and curiosity is something promising? Well, to answer this question, I leave the floor to Yves.
Thank you, Enrico. So maybe with the next slide, we try to summarize this triangle in a contrast between attention, distraction being usually the two opposites, and as Enrico said, the sort of a manichaeist opposition. Attention is good, distraction is bad. And what we're interested in is looking at them together with curiosity, and curiosity being sort of on top of it and shedding different light on the two others. So what I will do now in 5 minutes is just go through 5 or 6 sort of axes of comparison or dimensions where we think that it's interesting to modulate these 3 notions, which obviously are linked to each other, but through different axes. So the first one is the difference between exogenous and endogenous. And here, and all of these things we're saying, that's what we've come up with in the book, but these are all suggestions, or these are propositions, which hopefully we can discuss in the discussion. So the first thing would be to say, when we talk about attention in the sort of a general debate on attention, and obviously academic research is more complex than that, but we're sort of giving a sort of a common view on this, it's mostly discussed as exogenous. Our attention is being grabbed by advertisement, by social networks, etc., etc. And what dominates is the push. If you're familiar with the media theory, push, when you're pushed something through notification or other. And this is also true in distraction. Distraction is, in its very definition, something outside of you that distracts you from what you were supposed to do. Compared to this, curiosity would be a case of endogenous attention, if you want. Its curiosity is supposed to come from the subject, and it's more in the logic of pull. You are curious about something, you go out and you try to pull some information. First difference. Second difference, the relation to authority. As people who've studied distraction repeat, what we call attention is not just being attentive to something, it's being attentive to something that has been decided as being necessary or being important by some form of authority. And even if authority is not always clear in the picture, it is there somehow. A distraction, on the other side, is seen as alienating, is seen as you don't have power over yourself. Curiosity is interesting to us because it seems to be, and what we talk about curiosity here is a whole tradition of philosophers and psychology and moral studies for centuries on, which have been attempting to define what we call curiosity. So here again, it's sort of a constellation of very diverse things, which we do violence to by summarizing it this way. But it seems to us that it's in a way fundamentally unsubordinate. I go faster on the other ones. Attention in this Manichaean version is unequivocally good. Distraction is bad. Curiosity is morally ambivalent. And this ambivalence is often linked to gender characterization. Curiosity is, in our tradition at least, associated with women, whether it is Eve in paradise, Pandora in the Greek world, Bluebeard. You have all these stories where women are supposed to be curious, and it's a moral vice. They want to know things they're not supposed to know. And as a matter of fact, curiosity has been reclaimed by many feminists in saying there is something that links at least the image of women to curiosity. And now, whereas it was taken in a bad part, and again in a morally condemnable part, we're going to reclaim it and do something with it. The two last features, we would need a lot of time to develop them. We're just going to allude to them. Attention, in its mainstream definition, it's something directional. You focus. There's sort of an equivalence to being attentive and being focused. You being focused on one thing. The Greek word would be just monomania or mono attention. As opposite to that, the distraction would be something scattered, goes in all directions, takes you from the outside, it's unstable, it's like a butterfly, etc., etc. It would be not focused at all. And we're interested in curiosity because the way we built it, but again, it's a matter of definition and a matter of discussion, it helps us see something outside of what is focused, and yet that wouldn't be just scattered and alienating and triggered from the outside. So the Greek word for curiosity is polypragmosune, so pragma with things we care about, things that matter, things that we will do. But there are many of them, and one feature that I will just, an expression that I will notice here, maybe you're familiar with it. It's somebody in the White House who talked about unknown unknowns, said that what is really difficult in today's world is not the known unknowns, but the unknown unknowns. And for me, curiosity is this disposition to suspect that there are unknown unknowns and to go and see them. And the last thing is the fact that both in attention and distraction, we have a clear separation between the subject and the object, the subject of attention and the object of attention, what you look at, what you listen to, etc., etc. Whereas in curiosity, in most of our languages, there is a strange thing that happens, that we talk about something that is, or someone who is curious, and curious can mean that from the point of the subject, it's a subject who wants to know things that are not visible, etc., etc. But one can also talk of a curious gentleman, could be a gentleman who does strange things that gentlemen usually don't do. So curious can be the subject or the object. And this launches a dynamic feedback between curious object and curious subject. And these dynamics we're really interested into. Enrico, go on.
Thank you. I mean, probably it is better to clarify that we do not think, because even this table might suggest it, we do not think that curiosity is a solution, or worse, a kind of synthesis with respect to the dialectic of attention, dialectical pole of attention and distraction. Well, this is why we prefer also to address the political ambivalence of curiosity. So curiosity can obviously pose a disturbing and unsettling question, and so question even political authority, but it can, at the same time, it can be both resistant and enforcing political epistemological power structures. In fact, as curiosity scholars have shown, modern curiosity, or at least one side of it, goes hand in hand with colonialism, patriarchy, and heteronormativity. Here we draw on Zurn, Papastefan, and Guillemets' work, who highlighted modern curiosity formation processes are intimately linked with also imperial domination and with a kind of gaze that transforms unknown, curious places and people into imperial property. So we try to address this political ambivalence, and one way, we try to do in different ways, but one of them was focus on the relation between control on the one hand and care on the other. What is important here for us, it is not the curiosity per se, I mean, not the desire to know per se, but rather the relationship between the knowing subject and the object or subject known. So care and control have to do more with the relations than with the desire to know. So, and also they have to do with how these relations and the subject and object involved in these relations change. Therefore, curiosity informed by control is, yes, open to otherness. It is still desire to know something that is known, but it goes only in one direction, from the knowing subject to the object, and does not allow either the relation or the knowing subject to change. Basically, the historical example here are what I already mentioned when I talked about violence. So what about also curiosity and care? Only really 1 minute. First, let me clarify that we are not interested in care work, but in something wider. So we are more interested as care as a form of relation with the world, not just something that is professionalized. So a specific logic of this relation. And what is the basic idea about this relation between care and curiosity? Where are the sources? First, very maybe trivial, the first source is etymology, since curiosity came from the Latin word curiositas, which is care, cura. So this relation is also in the word in itself. But the second source we draw is feminist theory and tradition, which very often highlighted this strict relation between curiosity, care, and a specific form of attention. However, this style of attending is, by the way, something that is far from idea of the attention as a resource, as in care relations, you cannot use this metaphor. But at the same time, and I will leave this to Yves, this relation between attention and curiosity can address also through the metaphor of the resource, even in tradition, far from the feminist tradition. So here I will leave Yves the floor.
So thank you very much, Enrico. So we have 5 minutes and we'll stick to that. And this is a quote that I want to read with you. And hopefully, if you're interested, we can go back to it. Just to present it briefly, we were wondering with Enrico whether there could be a curiosity economy, just like there is an attention economy. Can there be a curiosity economy? And we asked the question to Georg Frank, for instance, and for him it was obvious that advertisement commercials are just curiosity economy. It is based on appealing by teasers, by all these things to our curiosity, and attention economy, curiosity economy could be the same thing. So I think that's one very good answer. We were interested in digging a little further, and then we found that article by Zachary Wojciechowicz and George Löwenstein. Löwenstein is one of the people in sort of cognitivism and psychology who has contributed very importantly to the definition of curiosity, rather to several definitions of curiosity. So he's a very important author in this field. And I really recommend this brief article, Curiosity and the Economics of Attention. For many reasons, it sets the stage very clearly and so forth. But it has also this quote that I want to read with you, which I see as needing to be unfolded in order to understand what a curiosity economy might be and why we can maybe use curiosity to go beyond the very notion of economy. So it starts like this. And the question is, what is curiosity from a functional point of view of the attention economy? So curiosity exists to direct attention in a way that does not itself require the expenditure of attention. It partially relieves serial deliberative cognitive faculties from the burden of calculating the relative value of redirecting attention by offloading this task to parallel associative faculties. I will stop here. So what it tells us here is that there is an economic feature in curiosity in our functioning of our mental system, which is so that we don't have to be attentive to what we should pay attention to. So it's like a short circuit or a bypassing. We have some instinctual, aesthetic, pleasure-driven force that is curiosity that makes us attentive to this rather than that. It's not just aleatory. It's not random. Something in us makes us attentive to this by curiosity, and it's a matter of saving resources. It saves attention. We don't have to ask ourselves, why should I be attentive to now? It's just made automatically. So it's a form of automatization of the choice of what we should be attentive to. And this, I don't know about you, but I think, this is very interesting to think about it this way, this shortcut and so forth. But it's still within the paradigm of cognitive economy, if you want. We have limited resources in attention, in energy, and this helps us to save these resources. It could be very problematic, I think, if we just took this and, or maybe you could stay on the same one. We'll forget about the last one, Enrico, sorry. It could be very problematic if we think of where we are now in terms of societies, in terms of the ecocide of Capitalocene, Plantationocene, Anthropocene, and all these things. Because I think what we need is precisely not to have these automated reflexes telling us what we should pay attention to without reflecting, without critically reflecting upon it. So this economic solution to the problem of paying attention to what we should pay attention to It's great that curiosity should solve it. And we could discuss on what does it mean associative faculties? What does it mean later hedonic modifications? But it's the problem as much as the solution. Hence, the second part of the quote, these automatic evaluation formed associatively on the basis of sensory cues are then reincorporated into deliberative decision-making as hedonic modification to the attractiveness of maintaining or redirecting attention. And in this second part here, I see what to me is the most important thing about curiosity, precisely to reincorporate into deliberative decision-making the question of the value, the relative value, to quote again the beginning of the quote, the relative value of directing attention to this or to that. And I think this is our challenge. If you want to change the quote now, thank you, Enrico. This is the challenge at this moment. This is why curiosity, we think, is important. And so the main question, these will be only questions, and we'll go to the discussion. Can we automate curiosity? Just like we all know that attention can be automated. GPS is a form of automated attention. So can we automate curiosity? The question seems to be yes. A lot of people are talking in programming. Maybe some people among you are talking about formalizing what curiosity is and having neural network perform something that functions like curiosity. So what do we think about that? When we talk about cabineting curiosity, it's one of the dangers in curiosity linked to colonialism, linked to the cabinet of curiosities. Just to think curious things are just worthy because they're exotic, some sort of tourism, intellectual tourism, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not satisfactory. I mean, something else should accompany our thinking of curiosity. What would be an ethics of curiosity and a politics of curiosity? And the question is here, how do we build mental infrastructures that would foster curiosity once we sort of know what it is? And this, we have to stop now and open the discussion, I think, without Tom having to interrupt us even. So go ahead, Tom.